the last great Khan Kublai, and the rise of the Yuan Dynasty. He wasn't just a Mongol conqueror. He was the grandson of Genghis Khan, and the man who would go further than any Mongol had ever dreamed, conquering all of China and declaring himself emperor. But behind the throne of glory, beneath the golden roof of the Yuan Dynasty, Kublai Khan would face the one enemy even Genghis couldn't beat: time. This is the story of the last great Khan. When Kublai Khan was born in 1215, the Mongol Empire was already a roaring force. He built supply chains, hired Chinese officials, and even established a parallel bureaucracy. To the Mongols, this was suspicious. To the Chinese, this was genius. In 1260, when Monkey died suddenly, a power struggle broke out. Kublai declared himself the new great Khan. But not everyone agreed. But Kublai wasn't raised like a nomadic warrior. He was a thinker, a reader. He studied Confucian texts, learned Chinese customs, and surrounded himself with scholars from all across Asia. For the first time in 300 years, all of China was unified under one ruler. While his brother Monkey inherited the title of Great Khan, Kublai was given a massive responsibility: to conquer the Song Dynasty in southern China, one of the richest, most advanced civilizations on Earth. But there was a catch. He embraced multiculturalism, welcoming Muslims, Christians, Buddhists, and Taoists into his court. He expanded the Grand Canal, restored roads, and supported the Silk Road, creating a commercial superhighway that stretched from Korea to Italy. He launched massive invasions of Japan in 1274 and again in 1281, only to be destroyed by typhoons the Japanese would call kamikaze, or divine winds. Rebellions simmered under the surface. He built cities instead of burning them, created policy instead of chaos, and gave the Mongol Empire its final golden age. He tried to conquer Vietnam, Java, and even parts of Burma, but every campaign drained resources, and at home, trouble was brewing. This was the age when Marco Polo arrived in China, stunned by what he saw: paper money, efficient couriers, massive cities, and a ruler who commanded a sixth of the Earth's land. To Europeans, Kublai seemed like a figure out of myth. Kublai couldn't just sweep through on horseback. The Song had massive cities, advanced defenses, and powerful navies. The dream of a united Mongol Empire died with Kublai. He was the last Mongol to truly rule over all of China, and the last great Khan to hold the title with real power. If he wanted to rule China, he had to become Chinese. From glory to Arshista, end is coming. And in 1271, he made a stunning announcement. He was no longer just the Khan of the Mongols. He was the Emperor of China. Kublai didn't just conquer with brute force, he adapted. His successors would rule in name, but never with his power. This wasn't just a family feud, it was a battle for the soul of the empire. And in 1264, after 4 brutal years, Kublai emerged victorious. By choosing to rule like a Chinese emperor, Kublai abandoned the traditional Mongol way of life, and lost the loyalty of the other. The once united empire splintered permanently into 4. His brother, Arik Bakay, challenged him from Karakoram in Mongolia, and a civil war exploded. But what he did next changed everything. Kublai didn't return to the Mongol capital. Instead, he made Dadu Madanda Beijing's new seat of power. He declared the birth of the Yuan Dynasty, blending Mongol authority with Chinese imperial tradition. It was a bold move and it worked. By 1279, after years of siege warfare, naval battles, and diplomatic maneuvering, Kublai crushed the southern Song, and that ruler was a Mongol. At its height, Kublai's Yuan Dynasty was a marvel. But the cracks were already forming. Kublai's obsession with expansion became his Achilles heel. Mongol elites resented how Chinese Kublai had become. The Chinese, meanwhile, saw the Mongol rulers as foreign occupiers. Famine, floods, and corruption spread. By the time Kublai died in 1294, the empire was still vast but fractured. So what do we make of Kublai Khan? He was the grandson of a steppe warlord, but he dreamed like a philosopher king. But his reign was also the beginning of the end. The Yuan Dynasty in China, the Golden Horde in Russia, the Ilkhanate in Persia, and the Chagatai Khanate in Central Asia, each one went its own way. Kublai Khan's empire stretched farther than Genghis ever imagined, but it came at a price. In the next episode, we'll dive into the fall of the Yuan Dynasty when rebellion, plague, and foreign hatred brought the Mongols crashing down.